This is a really important lesson on what we call connecting movement along pathways that the brain can read, sort of like the same principle of a map or a GPS, or how the brain functions. See something, connect the dots, make it possible. Learn how to ride a bike, dance, walk. In this case, we're going to be working with the relationship of the brain reading how the leg and the hip and the foot move together so that one can move in life and walk with efficiency rather than just walking with problems or difficulties or stiffness, which the body tends to do. So to start here, we're going to limit our territory and look at it from walking, if you like, a walking gait or any kind of movement involving the leg and the hip and the foot and the ankle, the knees. And we're going to start showing you with the detail, hands-on, to show you the hands-on movement. So in order to move the leg, this particular joint, which I'm accessing now, which is the top of the leg bone, I am turning it, which is access to the whole hip joint. Now the more I turn that joint, the whole leg turns, as you can see. So there's a good starting point. So there's our activation. We've started the motion. The energy and the is coming from this lever. We call it technically the trochanter, but you can see that we've already, if you look at the hands, there's a spiralic motion between my hands. I'm not just rolling a log, I'm actually creating a spiralic motion, so you get lengthening and nice smooth contractions and lengthenings going on. They're actually starting to go up also. You'll see the motion is going up, but we're looking mostly for the down. So the next stage along this track, if this were a railroad track, but it's not, but the next point would be that this motion is going to activate something in this area around the knee. But the knee is more than a knee. I am now taking I'm spinning the tissue a bit, and now I'm coming down into another bone that's called the fibula, and there it is in my hand. So as this one moves, so does that activate the fibula. The fibula now turns, and you see again the leg is moving and the foot is moving with it. Now I get the tissue on the inside to make that spiral, so we don't just get a log roll, we get actual spiralic motion, which generates powerful energy. If this were martial arts or Tai Chi, that's what they mean. Tai, greater energy is being generated with less effort. So now I get it down, I got to move through tissue territory. All of this between the two bones, the tibia and the fibula, is tissue, muscle, and they are trying to get into the dance together. They're trying to move in sync. And anything stiff is going to appear in my hands because I'm following, if you like, the road. So if there's a pothole, I'll have a better chance to see it. So I'm going down the leg now, and I'm still mindful of this connection all the time, as he is, because I want him to be aware of it. And then I go through the fibula and we unwind, so that establishes the knee in the right direction. Now there's no torque on the knee, so the knee is now beautifully transmitting and is not being stressed. So we're pretty much interfering or stopping any knee problems. Now we go down the leg, and we take all the tissue that's in between the hands to see if we can continue that spiralic transmission, okay? This is how the energy moves in a human body. All the tissue is spiralic, the bones are all curved, so the most optimized motion in the body is spiralic motion. And it is much better than simple rotation because we get greater energy, greater control, greater direction, greater efficiency. Now notice coming down to this point where we've come, we call it trochanter, fibula, tissue, and now we come down to close to the ankle zone. So we have to check the tissue here because oftentimes this gets very tight, and when it gets tight the foot turns like this, and people are landing on the side, or they're landing in funny ways, but they're not landing with maximum spread of the foot. Okay, so it'd be like a tire turning inward or outward. It would wear it out. So the best mesh is to have the tire in alignment, so when it hits the ground, the tread is equally being, the forces are being spread, and there's less consuming of the tire. That's mechanics. Now here, how are we going to get it in a human body, which has got billions of neurons and a brain running the show, saying, how am I going to optimize my step when I walk, when I step, when I jump, whether if I'm playing tennis, whether I'm walking. Do you see what I'm doing now is something that you will only appreciate once it comes into play, that this thrust now coming this way is actually counter-rotating the foot, so the spread is perfect. And therefore, if I do that, look, his leg lifts. He's in perfect alignment. And I don't have to do anything except sit here and just make sure that the connections are there. Now, as he moves, that alignment must be maintained. So how is it being maintained? Because as we go through here, this tissue does an interesting, we're going to call it direction or navigational path. It's too difficult to go that way. The sailor says, let's tack a little this way, we'll get through beautifully. Let's find the best route to fly the plane so we don't end up spending a lot of time in the air and burning a lot of gas and arriving 2 hours late. Why don't we take the best route, right? So here's the best route for the foot. Watch. As he comes around, this force opens it up so he comes down this path which I'm tracing. That's called the outside path. Okay? And then it comes down through this fourth metatarsal, that's the fourth toe. It hits the ground there and then continues, and look, it does this spiralic whirl and comes off the big toe. And that point, that completes the action of the foot helping to conduct, look at this. And we come around, we wind up, there's the foot in what we call ready to thrust mode, winding up, coming around, and then striking. And so now we get a nice gait. Look at everything participating together. And my hands are really the kind of like facilitating the body's pattern. I'm not making it happen, I'm listening into his pattern to find out where the river runs freer, see? And there it is. And there's the response. And the test is that if I just take his look and lift the leg, his leg lifts. Whereas the other leg, we can now contrast it. And you see it is heavier. Look, I can't lift it because it's not aligned as well as this one is. So we have aligned not just the muscles and the tissue and the bones, we've aligned, if you could say, we've done a brain gym alignment. We've aligned the brain to read the movement and function better. We also know that when that happens in the brain lights up. You get this kind of activation in different sectors, which is good for you. Good for the brain, good for the muscles, good for the tissues. And when you get up and walk, it works a lot easier because there's a spring in it. So if I touch his foot, look, it goes all the way up now to his chin. You can see it all the way up now, going way up to his nose. Whereas on this side, which we haven't activated, it's there, but we have to activate it. Look, look, it's not as easy. In addition, if he lifts his leg, if you can put your hands on the hip bones and lifts this leg just a little, look, it floats up and drop, float and drop. Quick response. But the other one, look, is heavier and takes time and is a drag and it's hard work. And that's where our problems are. And that's how we get through them. And that's the lesson from this end. We'll continue it with connecting all the way up from the hip going up in the next lesson that we'll demonstrate.